When you think about a pharmacy, you probably picture someone behind a counter, counting little pills and putting them into a bottle. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, behind that counter is an incredibly complex, high stakes machine. It's an operational hub where even one tiny mistake can have absolutely devastating consequences. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at how a pharmacy really works.
To really get how complex this all is, we're not going to start with a normal quiet day. Nope. We're going to start right in the middle of a crisis, a moment when the entire system is pushed to its absolute breaking point. Okay, picture this. You're the pharmacy manager. Suddenly, the hospital's entire electronic health record system goes down. It's been wiped out by a cyber attack. This system is the digital brain of the whole hospital, and poof, it's gone. No patient records, no allergy info, no medication histories. What do you do? What is your first move? This isn't just a thought experiment. It's a real-world scenario that shows just how fragile these systems are.
And that really gets to the heart of everything we're talking about. See, when something goes wrong, our first instinct is to find a person to blame, right? The pharmacist, the nurse, whoever was at the end of the line. But the truth is, most errors, they aren't failures of a person. They're failures of the system. They're symptoms of a broken process.
So, if the system is the problem, how do you fix it? Well, you don't just wait around for a crisis and then react. You build a better system. You create a master plan, a blueprint for control that acts as your defense against chaos. And that is where strategic planning comes into play.
Strategic planning isn't about, what you're going to do next Tuesday. It's about answering the biggest, most fundamental question of all. What business are we really in? It's about purposefully shaping your future, not just letting the future happen to you.
And a question like this gets right to the core of it. Think about it. If a pharmacy decides it's in the prescription business, what does that mean? It means the focus is on speed, volume, just getting pills and bottles. But what if it decides it's in the healthcare business? Well, suddenly the entire mission shifts. It becomes about patient outcomes, counseling, being part of a larger team. That one decision changes everything.
And making that decision isn't guesswork. It's a methodical 8-step journey. You start by defining your core purpose. Then you have to take a really honest look at where you are right now. From there, and only from there, can you start to build a real roadmap with clear goals, strategies, and responsibilities that turns that big vision into actual, concrete steps.
So how do you assess your current situation? A classic tool for this is the SWOT analysis. It's basically a framework for a really candid conversation. You look internally at your strengths and weaknesses, and then you look externally at the opportunities and threats out in the world. I mean, you can't possibly plan a route if you don't know where you're starting from.
Okay, so we've been talking from that high-level 30,000-foot view of planning. Let's zoom all the way in now, down to the most critical, microscopic level, the actual science of keeping patients safe in a place where there is absolutely zero room for error. This is a heartbreaking and very real example of what a system failure looks like. Just look at the chain of events here. It wasn't one single mistake. A pharmacist misreads a reference. The dose gets prepared at 10 times the strength ordered. Then, a nurse administers it the wrong way, intravenously, into a vein, instead of intramuscularly, into a muscle. Each one of those steps was a potential checkpoint, a chance to catch the error. But the system failed, again and again. And that story, it's not some rare, isolated tragedy. According to the Institute of Medicine, medication errors kill up to 7,000 Americans every single year. That's a staggering number. It's like a major plane crash happening every couple of weeks. This is a massive, systemic problem. So how do you even start to fix a problem that huge? Well, there are two ways to look at errors. The first is the sharp-end approach. That's where you blame the person on the front lines, the one who made the final mistake. It's easy, it's tempting, and it's totally ineffective. The blunt-end approach is different. It looks past the individual and hunts for the root cause, the weaknesses in the system that set that person up to fail. That's where real change happens. This blunt-end thinking leads to this really amazing evolution in how you manage for quality. You might start with quality control, or QC, which is purely reactive. You catch problems after they've already happened. A step up from that is quality assurance, or QA, where you monitor your processes to make sure you're meeting standards. But the real goal, the holy grail, is continuous quality improvement, CQI. This is a proactive, never-ending mission to perfect the system itself so that problems can't happen in the first place. And the absolute gold standard for this kind of thinking is something called a high reliability organization, or HRO.
These are places like the cockpit of an airliner or the control room of a nuclear power plant, places where failure is simply not an option. They are, by their very nature, preoccupied with failure because they know that's the only way to achieve success. And that has to be the model for a modern pharmacy. Let me show you a really simple example of where a system can break down. A doctor writes this prescription: metoprolol, half a tablet, 25 milligrams, once daily. Okay, seems clear enough, right? But look closer. There's a hidden danger lurking in that sentence.
Exactly. Does the doctor want the patient to take a total dose of 25 milligrams, which would mean cutting a 50 milligram tablet in half, or do they want them to take 12.5 milligrams by cutting a 25 milligram tablet in half? One of those is a double dose. That simple ambiguity, it's a system failure just waiting to happen.
So to prevent those kinds of traps, pharmacies use principles from a field called human factors engineering. It's all about designing systems that account for how humans actually think and work. It means doing things like using checklists so people don't have to rely on memory, standardizing processes so they happen the same way every time, and even changing how drug names are written, like using what's called tall man lettering to make look-alike drugs easier to tell apart. Now, of course, a huge part of designing these safer systems involves technology. And technology is one of the most powerful tools we have for safety and control, but as we're about to see, it can be a real double-edged sword. On the one hand, technology has been an absolute game changer. I mean, tools like computerized physician order entry, CPOE for short, and automated dispensing cabinets have totally transformed the medication process, building in all these new layers of safety that just didn't exist before. And the benefits are just immense. For starters, it finally solves the ancient problem of trying to read a doctor's messy handwriting. These systems can also give instant alerts for dangerous drug interactions, and using barcode scanning can confirm that the right drug is going to the right patient. It's incredible. But here's the other side of that sword. Every new piece of technology creates brand new ways for the system to fail, which, you'll notice, brings us right back to that cyber terrorist attack we imagined at the very beginning. The risks are very, very real. I mean, what happens when the whole system just goes down? There's also a phenomenon called alert fatigue. A pharmacist gets so many minor warnings from the computer that they just start clicking past them out of habit, and they miss the one that actually matters. And then there's the huge problem of interoperability, where the system at pharmacy A can't talk to the system at pharmacy B, leaving these dangerous gaps in a patient's history. So at the end of the day, when you put all these pieces together, the strategic planning, the safety science, the technology, the big takeaway becomes crystal clear. Running a modern pharmacy isn't just about counting pills anymore. It's about running a high-reliability organization where the goal is perfection, because anything less can be fatal.
So the next time you pick up that little white bag from the pharmacy, just take a second. Think about the huge, unseen machine that worked to get it safely into your hands. The strategic plans, the quality checks, the human-centered design, the technology, all of it working together. What unseen systems are standing on guard, protecting you?